everyone, this is Melissa with the Creative Season here for another art video. We are going to paint beautiful, lovely spring tulips today. So before we started, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about painting flowers and tulips in particular. Wanted to let you know too, if you're busy getting out your supplies, I have a 6x9 paper taped out in front of me. I've got my water and I've got my paints, and I'm going to be painting, we're going to paint some beautiful oranges today, orange and yellow tulips. So I have this is a cadmium yellow medium. I'm going to use, this is a cadmium orange, I believe. I do have an orange here. This might be a cadmium red, I'm so sorry, light, which has a bit of an orange hue. And then over I've got some yellows and I have some greens. So if you have yellows, greens, and red, a little either red or orange would be great today. Of course, if you want to make your own orange and combine the yellows and reds that you have, or yellow and pink for really vibrant, that's fun. So while you're getting your supplies, we're going to do a lovely bouquet like this. We're going to leave some area too. I had put a Claude Monet quote, I must have flowers always and always, because I always feel like that about flowers. So I love flowers. I'm thinking about giving this to my mom and she loves flowers. Some other ideas though, while we're doing that, I've been painting a lot of tulips. I've been painting smaller sizes as well, and I'll come a little closer here. So this is a smaller size, and I just written love you on this side. These are pink tulips. This is a little more abstract feel. I had done some splattering around the sides here, and this is more orange. I ended up doing a bow. I had colored in the bow of the tulips with some neolite, and neolites are they're like pastels, but they're water soluble pastels, so you lay them down and then put water over them. It creates like a water-like effect, watercolor effect, but it's a little more vibrant color. And then these are very similar, but in pink. I wasn't as thrilled with this one because it got a little bit muddy, but I did clean it up a bit with the pins. I added a little bit of splatter, and it's pretty. It's pretty. It's not my favorite, but I like it. And then with tulips too, I'm not finished with this one yet, but this is the one I'm working on too. And so I really am enjoying this one. And this one, as you can see, we have a house on a hill. And then what I have below is I have fields of flowers with the flowers coming right up to you. And then we've got a pathway, another pathway. I'm going to probably finish this one up in the next couple of days. But tulips I find are really versatile. They're fun to paint. They're fairly simple as far as it's a lot easier to paint tulips than it is to paint peonies or roses or irises or some of the other flowers. So I'm going to make sure, see how I'm stepping as much as I can out of the sun. So I'm going to go ahead and let's get started on our sketching. So again, we want to leave room over here, but you'll notice too, I have the tulips all kind of come up where we have them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're gonna have an odd number of tulips. I have the eye kind of going up and around that, like here. We have the stems coming up almost as if it's umbrella-ing and in a wide circle. So it really creates a nice sensation for the eye to look around this beautiful painting. So what I like to do, I'm just going to do a couple of light sketching, and what I want to make sure is with my tulips that I paint them all so we do end up with that lovely bouquet feel. So I'm going to go ahead and go down like this, bring it a little closer so you can see I'm using again my sketching pencil here, or it's my mechanical pencil, and I'm going to go ahead and place my tulips. So I think I always like them a little bit. I don't like them to be too even. And tulips are really funny to me too. They always have so much personality with the way they open up. Have you noticed that when you buy them and they're all closed, and but they open up in all different ways? So I'm going to go ahead and put a couple, I think, over here. Put this one a little bit lower. And sometimes it's kind of fun when their heads are hitting together. So some of these are going to be tulips that aren't quite opened up too much. So we're going to be able to see a lot of them. A lot of times with tulips too, you have the large petal on one side, the petal on the other side. You see the petal coming up in between. Or sometimes you see more of that middle petal dominating, right? And then these two on the side. And then if I wanted to, I could sketch out there. I'll come up a little bit closer too. So I've got 4 tulips right now, and let's see, I think I'm going to go over here. We're going to make one coming up high. This one kind of has a mind of its own. It's going to be a little bit more striking out on its own. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and just outline a couple of the stalks. Tulips always have these nice thick stems, which I love. And I like it too because the stems that their heads rest on are pretty hardy. And a lot of times that color drains into the stem. So we've got 5. Now you could always leave it with 5. I want a full bouquet of tulips though. So I'm going to go ahead, put my 6th one here. And with the 7th one, I think I'm going to have it right over here. We're going to have it peeking out behind here. And again, I have a little bit more of a group of tulips that are doing their own thing. If you wanted to make them a little bit more orderly and have them all together in kind of almost a row, you can certainly do that. Also, if you wanted to, you could also make sure that if you can have a bunch more tulips, you can make a dozen, and you can add some more in here or all the way out here, whatever you'd like to do. I'll outline here where my stems are going to be. Okay, and that's going to be really, really pretty and really fun. And it may end up changing as I go. That happens a lot of times. So now that I have this down, I'm going to start. I'll go ahead and grab my brush. I have a size 4, I think, that I'm using today. It's a 4 for the tulips. And I'm going to go ahead. And you know what I'm actually going to do? First, before I lay down my tulips, I'm going to go ahead and put down color blocks of my green stems. So I'm going to go out here like this. And what I'm going to do too, to make sure you can see this, I'm going to go up here a bit, is the stems of the tulips, they're often concaved in on themselves. So you have the outside that we can see, but we have the inside. And so for the inside, I'll paint it either darker or lighter, depending where the light is hitting it. So we're going to pretend that the light's coming on them. So I'm going to I'll end up putting the lighter part of the tulip in here, but I'm just going to leave it like that. What I want to do is I want to outline the green so I know where I put it, and then I won't run in my tulip heads into the green areas, because sometimes I do that. It gets so easy sometimes to get carried away. Okay, so now I know where my leaves are down here. And I think what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to just put the ends so I know where that stem is. I'm not going to get too close to my tulip head right here. Okay. And once you start doing these, you'll notice they go pretty fast. And I'll show you some of the detail work we can do in the other one. For this tulips, I've been using not as much pen and ink and letting them stand on their own. I'm actually going to use a size 10 brush, which is a little bit bigger, and go ahead and just, you don't have to if you want to go a little slower, but for the sake of showing how I'm going to put in the leaves around the stems. Now, I don't have any live tulips to show you today. I did have some over the weekend, a couple of bunches that I was working from. And one of the things I noticed was at the bottom of the stems down here, this area was lighter in color. It was almost like a light yellow-green. So one of the things I was trying to do with my stems was to create in them a lighter color, and I can always go over them in a yellow too, just to pull out some more of that shade variation, which I really think sometimes it's those subtle variations that make our bouquets and our pieces of art so much our own and really so pretty. You don't have to have a ton of detail, but just attention to the small things sometimes. So I've got stock 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that means these guys have to would be coming in here. I don't get too concerned, but I do at least start out figuring out that all of my tulip heads have a stalk. I'm going to rinse that out really good. Make sure you rinse out your brushes, or even switch your water in between going with the green and then going with the color. Now I'm going to start with my light orange, and the orange I'm using, it's a cadmium orange. It's nice and light, and I can always just add more color to it. I'll end up dropping in the darker color to create a more vibrant tulips, but I'm not going to do that for all of them. So coming in here, make sure to leave some white. Again, we're using the beauty of the watercolors to leave some reflection. Now it's okay too, the color tends, and that green tends to come up a little bit, so I like to let that kind of come up just a bit. That might be a little bit much, but that, I'm gonna leave it, that's fun. We'll end up putting in more orange and coloring that. I like to, sometimes I'll choose like a whole, like all pink tulips or all purple, or maybe even, have you ever seen blue tulips? Every blue moon I'll see some blue ones too. I like those. But I like to also put in kind of like one, like a yellow, like it just kind of peeked in here. It popped in, and we might end up making it a pink. But again, letting a little bit of your color come up and thinking about, we're trying to differentiate some of those other color zones. So the whole tulip is not the same color. We've got other colors in there. And this too is make sure you have enough water so when you drop in some darker color, like right here, it'll move around on its own and do that beautiful thing watercolors like to do. So I'm going to keep coming around. I'm getting some video editing equipment where I'll be able to talk over the videos and then speed up the videos. So that'll be fun. Although I will say, when I used to take a lot of art classes online, I really liked the ones where I could paint with the teacher. I never liked watching on my and then doing it. I really liked whoever the instructor was. I wanted to grab my supplies and then go with them and then pause the video or the YouTube, whatever I was using, and when I needed some more time. So if you can always tell me too, I'm kind of curious to know if you're painting with me or if you watch and get ideas and then paint on your own later. Okay, so here's this guy. And that yellow is really bright. So I am going to go ahead and add a little bit of orange to it because it's almost a little bit too bright of a yellow to go in with these. However, you notice that it kind of retains some of its brilliance here. And I'm going to use a different yellow because I always have a couple of yellows on my palette. I don't know why, I just do. This is a yellow ochre, and so this is a little bit more of a matte yellow. And I did get a lot of green up here, but again, I'm not too worried about it. I'm actually going to go with my darkest orange that I have on the tray, and I actually think it's a red. It's a cadmium red light, which looks a lot like orange. And I'm going to go ahead and go in like this. It is creating a little bit of a color variation, and that's okay. I'll end up cleaning them up most likely. Now, again, if you're going to be adding in some darker colors to your orange tulips, there has to be enough watercolor, and I'll put my little petal right here. Enough watery watercolor so that the other colors can blend. If it's too dry, your color's not going to move around and kind of get that magical effect. Of course, we can't control it as much, right, when I'm just dropping the colors in. But that's okay. That's part of the beauty of it. And I might even take a little bit of yellow over here and drop it into this one. This yellow in the back right here, I'm going to wait till it dries. I'm going to use some of that cadmium light red and come in here. I'm going to go ahead and show off that back petal here, but I'm not going to color it in. I'm going to leave it like that. And if our light is indeed kind of coming on this way, we're going to have more of our darker colors back here, right? That'll be the side next to the shadow. And you know, he did get messy, this little tulip right back here. So what I will do is I will go ahead and blot that off. That way it'll dry faster and I can come back in with my color. All right, I'm going to go back with some of my greens now. I'm going to use a lighter color to go ahead and come on in here and down here as well. So that shows off that light inside of the leaf. There are so many different variations we can do with green. And always remember that. Don't feel limited. If you only have one green, you can add a blue to your green to darken it up. You can add yellow to your green. And a yellow, lots of variations to create just a really different, beautiful variations of green. What I like to do with these bouquets is I like to kind of, almost like bookends, where I have some of the darker ones on the outside as if it's kind of holding them all in. And once again, I'm going to put darker down here. We let the watercolor blend a little bit as it does. I think that one of the fun things about tulips too is that they're a little bit more forgiving because watercolor does tend to bleed. With the group of tulips, it tends to look really, really pretty. It looks okay if they blend in a little bit, Versus like peonies where the beauty is in all the ridges, it can be a little bit less forgiving if the colors start to merge. All right, and I'm coming through here. And I'm gonna come back and do another layer, but this is really looking nice. We're not even 15 minutes into the video. We just passed the 15-minute mark, and already it's turning into a really nice painting. Now, I really do need to let it dry. So what am I gonna do when I come back? I am gonna go ahead up here. I'll go ahead and put another layer of paint on all the tulips. I'll go ahead and put in a little bit more detail into the leaves, but not a lot. You'll see with this one over here, I did not add any ink to this one like I normally do. I just let it go, and I let some of that bleeding that's in there, I just decided to let it be for this one. I put in the quote right around, and I don't know script. It's one of the things I'd love to learn, but I just used my own handwriting. I practiced on another piece of paper. And so we have that. I'll lift this up a little bit close. But you can be a little bit more, if you wanted to come back with a pen, you certainly could and make it a little bit more free for all like this. But other than that, I think this is coming out really nicely. Again, let it dry. You could leave it like this. Another idea you could do as well is on this one too, is I added some splatters. So if you wanted to do some splattering, you could just get your brush really, really wet with water, get some paint into it, and then I'm just gonna gently settle this over. You just hit the brush, and that's gonna create some really fun splatters. You can do that with the colors you have on, or if you had a complementary color, like say I wanted to add some yellow just to sparkle it up, that just creates a little bit more of a fun, playful effect. And I can come in through a little bit closer so you can see that. And again, that's a little more of an abstract, a little bit more of a free-for-all fun painting. But anyway, I think this is lovely. When I come back in, again, I'm gonna really try not to overwork it. I'm gonna do a little bit more color drop-ins just to create some boldness. But really, this has turned out really, really pretty. Beautiful spring flowers. You know, keep it for yourself, give it to mom for Mother's Day, or pop it in the mail. It'd be a lovely gift for someone who loves flowers too. All right, you guys, I'll see you on the next video. If you have anything in particular you would like to learn how to paint, let me know and we'll see if we can get that up. All right, have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.